can scream and shout with all your might.
Scream, shout, whine, cry, snivel, piss, moan. Do whatever you need to do. Shove your opinion right up your ass. That way Barack Obama will have somebody to keep him company. And don't forget, the ever-present, the most likely, the third possibility. You are wrong and I am right. Yes, it's true. I know it's true. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. Ladies and gentlemen, this is State of the Art, brought to you by the Central Libertarian Society. And I am the great one himself, Skippy. And this is the format where I launch the cruise missile of my intellect, which homes in on idiots all around this nation, and destroys the glass houses of reasoning that they use. And should there be any survivors as they run from the wreckage, we will mow them down with our machine guns mounted in UE helicopters circling overhead, surveying the carnage and destruction below to make sure that no one gets out alive. Excuse me. That was me having a drink of 1554 Enlightened Black Ale from the New Belgium Brewery. I will warn you, my throat is a little off today, but nonetheless, I must carry on because there's just too much out there. You people are just too stupid. And I have to talk about you. I have to do these things. This is what I am here for. I have to perform this function. Let's get the fine print stuff out of the way. I am the great one. This is Stating the Obvious, brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society. The Cynical Libertarian Society is located at 204eastsouth.com/CLS. In the control room is the lovely and adorable Randy, the sound engineer, on the other side of the glass, where you cannot hear her. The email address, if you want to contact me here at Stating the Obvious, is God, that's G-O-D, God is in dog spelled backwards, God at 204eastsouth.com. And the theme song for Stating the Obvious is performed by David Gilmour. It's on his 1984 album About Face. And the title of it is You Know I'm Right. It's a song he wrote about me because you all know I'm right. And that was me having another drink of 1554. So I have a stack in front of me. I was looking for a common theme amongst this stuff. I was actually attempting to organize the show slightly before starting it today. Here's a pile. What? Oh, don't drop that. I was actually attempting to organize myself today slightly. Every once in a while I do that. I do organize myself. And the initial theme here is that you people are stupid. Now every year or so, excuse me, the throat is going to be a problem. I think I probably need another drink of 1554 Enlightened Black Ale from New Belgium Breweries. Hold on. Darn, it's empty. I will now have to switch to Pete's Wicked Strawberry Blonde. Lovely. Every year, I have to talk about school dress codes. Now, I always have to do this because I personally inspired the dress code at the high school I used to attend in Weimar, Texas, because I had long hair, and the establishment did not like the concept of a boy having long hair. And so in typical nanny state fashion, they wanted to make rules about the length of my hair in order to prevent me from having long hair in high school. Well, they didn't manage to do it when I was in high school. However, now they have done this. So anyway, this is the Weimar School District dress code. I can't talk. Or at least excerpts from it. I'm not reading the whole thing, but this is great stuff. I am so... there's 2 points to this. The first point is, I am so happy I am not in high school anymore, because high schools are becoming like prisons. It's got to really suck to be in high school now. And of course, the kids in high school, they probably don't. Did I just say like? Oh my God! Like, I've been around college kids too much. Like, they probably don't even notice the difference. To them, having identification cards and being strip searched and going through metal detectors is probably perfectly normal. I was fortunate going to school in a small town in Texas where we were behind the times. So all these things took a longer time to hit us. Pardon me. For example, when the rest of the world was cracking down on drinking and all this other stuff, I was still able to go into bars when I was 16 years old and get a beer and get away with it. In the civilized world, that would have been unheard of and would have resulted in imprisonment. In fact, I have a story on that. See, this actually, it's always amazing. Once I start talking, it's amazing how well all of this stuff ties in together. Anyhow, Weimar High School dress code. Hairstyles must be socially acceptable to the community. Now, right there, one sentence, you've already opened yourself up to something. Hairstyles must be socially acceptable to the community. Boy, that can mean a lot. Hair must be neat, clean, well-groomed, and in general kept in moderation. Length of hair on boys shall not be below the bottom of the shirt collar. Wow. Yeah, I definitely violated that one. It pissed them off too. They were seriously pissed off. Now this has got to suck for high school kids. Listen to this. Sleeveless tops, halter tops, see-through clothing, cut-off clothes, plunging necklines, and tops exposing the midriff cleavage are unacceptable. Midriff must not be showing while standing, bending, or sitting. Shorts or skirts must reach mid-thigh. Shorts that are not allowed include short shorts, cutoffs, bike shorts, tight-fitting shorts, and shorts or pants that have writing covering the seat area. Now imagine you are a boy in high school, and the women around you who are young, hot, and in close proximity are not allowed to wear anything that has plunging necklines, exposed midriff, exposed cleavage, or short shorts. Now how miserable, how fucking miserable has that got to be? Meanwhile, Tony K. Scott, TK, as she's known to her friends, from, where is this? Redwood Middle School in Napa, California. California, the land of the enlightened people. California, the hippie capital of the world. California, the People's Republic of California. The place where freedom reigns. TK violated Redwood's dress code. The code aimed to squelch gangs by requiring students to wear only certain clothes and solid colors. TK was told she could change her outfit and stay at school, or she could spend the day at home. And pray tell, what was it? What was it that TK was wearing that violated the dress code and resulted in her being sent home from school? She was wearing socks, plaid socks that have Tigger on them. Yes, folks, it's true. Tigger of Winnie the Pooh fame is actually a gang member. School dress codes. There's... I suppose if somebody showed up at high school with a T-shirt that said "Gas the fucking Jews," and had a big picture of Adolf Hitler on it, we could talk. Okay, we could talk about. I might be okay with telling that person you need to go home and change the fucking shirt. Okay, but Tigger. It's Tigger, goddammit. I think we're losing something out there, and it's called intelligence. Listen to this. A Charlottesville, Virginia mother who was sentenced to 27 months in jail for serving teenagers beer and wine coolers at her son's 16th birthday party was reunited with her boys, blah, blah, blah. The couple, married at the time of the party, each pleaded guilty to nine. It doesn't say anything in the article about her husband. It's just about her. The couple, married at the time of the party, each pleaded guilty to 9 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I should not be laughing because this actually is not funny. They had this birthday party for their son. Kids came over. The parents took away the kids' car keys so nobody could drive. Gave him some brews, some wine coolers, what the hell ever. 27 months in jail. Listen to this. Court records show she spent $340 on alcohol. Why is this relevant? Obviously, you people have never bought alcohol before, because let me tell you something. $340 does not buy a lot of booze. Kelly, this is the mother. Kelly said initially she was held in a cell with 15 other prisoners, but was moved to solitary detention after she received 2 death threats. So not only can you go to jail for serving your own son in your own home alcohol, but apparently when you're in jail for this is such a heinous thing that you receive death threats. Well, perhaps what she should have done, she shouldn't have served them alcohol. She should have inserted the alcohol. Got this article here. My mother, who's always clipping things out of the newspaper and sending it to me. My mother sent me this article. This is fascinating. Prosecutors have dropped charges that a Lake Jackson woman caused her husband's death by giving him a sheri enema, leading to alcohol poisoning. Now, just in case any of you out there are stupid, and what am I saying? Of course you're stupid. For those of you who don't know what an enema is when you... Well, what? Randy is demonstrating an enema in the control room. An enema is a method of delivering medication by shoving a capsule which subsequently dissolves up a person's ass. According to an autopsy report, Warner had been administered an enema with enough sheri. I'm sorry. This is as funny as when the guy died having sex with a horse. I mean, come on, man. Come on, guys. According to an autopsy report, Warner, that's Warner, the male Warner, had been administered with an enema with enough sheri to get a blood alcohol level of 0.47. At the time Warner was indicted, Lake Jackson Police Detective Robert Turner said that Michael Warner was a longtime alcoholic who sometimes used enemas to get drunk because a medical condition made it painful for him to drink. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, it's a medical condition which makes it painful for him to drink. Turner said a person who drinks alcohol will usually pass out and stop drinking before ingesting a lethal dose. Lethal dose, yes, unless of course your name is Samantha Spady. A person's body can continue to absorb alcohol through an enema after the person passes out. All right. I want all of you out there to rush out and start administering yourselves alcohol enemas. Pete's Wicked Strawberry Blonde administered through an enema. Maybe if I shove this beer bottle up my ass. Let's start a new trend out there, folks. Alcohol enemas. In a 2005 interview, Warner said her husband often drank alcohol, but that he had been addicted to enemas since he was a child. She said he often used alcohol in that manner to get drunk. I don't even know. I can think of a couple of places to go with this, but I'm just going to try to just leave that hanging out there. Where do I even want to go next? What are we talking about? Asses. Two Florida teenagers, 17-year-old male JGW and 16-year-old female AH, as court records refer to them, photographed themselves in sex acts. Then they sent them pictures from AH's computer to JGW's email account. It's not exactly clear how, but the photos soon wound up in the hands of the police. Both teenagers were charged with producing child pornography. The sex acts themselves were not illegal. Both teens were over Florida's age of consent. It was the documentation of the sex acts that was illegal. Because the federal child pornography ban defines a child as anyone under 18. The Florida's First District Court of Appeals upheld the teenagers' convictions. Judge James Wolf explained the two minors could have sold or distributed the pictures. Could have. Now, I always find this whole could have thing to be fascinating. I'm digressing for a moment from the article. Let me mark this. I'm going to get back to this. He added that because the duo placed the photos on a computer and then, using the internet, transferred them to another computer, they took a risk that other people would see the photos, since their computers or email accounts could have, there's that phrase again, could have been hacked. And hello to the wind. I have the window open here in the palatial recording studios of the Cynical Libertarian Society. I have now mostly closed the window. Hopefully the wind will not impose. Again, not that I don't mind the wind. Actually, I don't like being cooped up in a building. That's why I always have windows open. Wherever I go, windows need to be open. Now, in the most bizarre part of the opinion, Judge Wolf wrote, quote, "If these pictures are ultimately released, future damage may be done to these minors' careers or personal lives." The judge did not say anything about what a felony child pornography conviction might do to their careers or personal lives. And, this story isn't that unusual. We've talked about this before. I've talked about these notions. I've talked about things like 19-year-old boys having sex with 17-year-old girls, or 18-year-old boys having sex with 17-year-old girls and getting arrested as child molesters and all this other stuff. And how is the government helping here? The pictures might have gotten out into... Could have. This judge actually thinks that somehow or another he is helping these kids. These people are now, as he says here, they're convicted child pornography. Child pornographer. Felony child pornographers. They are convicted child pornographers. You think that might fuck up their futures? You think that might fuck up their careers? Could have. The account could have been hacked. The minors could have sold or distributed the pictures. Could have. There's a lot of could haves out there. And this ties into the drinking thing. I'm tired. As I look, my brain is moving. Yes, I know, Randy. Excuse me, folks, one moment. Another drink of Pete's Wicked Strawberry Blonde. There's a lot of fucking could haves out there in this world. And you stupid people seem to cling to these. They could have distributed this pornography. Their computers could have been hacked. And this is what irritates me about the whole anti-drinking thing as well. Could have. Because the whole anti-drinking and driving thing, to me, represents the ultimate manifestation of the could-have syndrome. Sorry, that was me hitting the microphone. Here's what I mean by that. People are arrested for drinking and driving. They haven't actually done anything. They haven't harmed anybody. They're arrested because of the possibility that they might harm somebody. Well, they were drunk and they were driving. They could have had an accident. Well, yes, they could have, but they didn't. Now, of course, people say, well, we're taking preventative measures, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, this story is a perfect manifestation of this could have. All sorts of things could happen. That terrible, 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 terrible movie that was made from the Philip K. Dick story. Yeah, I know. All the Philip K. Dick movies have been pretty bad, except for Blade Runner. Minority Report. The entire theme of Minority Report, the original story, which I have read, which you should read. The original theme of this is, can you punish somebody for a crime before the crime happens, even if you suspect the crime is going to happen? It hasn't happened yet. Can you punish people for things they haven't done? And that's what this is. We're punishing these kids for something they could have done. Well, yes, they could have sold this as child pornography. Yes, they could have. But they didn't. The drunk driver could have had an accident and killed somebody. But they didn't. Now, of course, well, I shouldn't say of course. I should say that. Now, in my reasoning, if a person is driving drunk, and let's say, for example, the drunk driver runs over an 8-year-old kid who was chasing his ball into the street, for example. The driver should be held accountable for hitting the kid. The fact that he was drunk at the time or not drunk at the time is irrelevant. You hit the fucking kid. You have to pay the price. Whatever that price may be. But when you start saying, well, people might do things, anybody might do anything. And if you morons out there continue to allow this type of thinking to take place in the legal environment, to take place in the context of making laws to punish people for things they might do, I think we are running into some dangerous territory. But then again, we spend a lot of time in dangerous territory. Here's some dangerous territory. And this was really scary in the fact that this came from Seth Anthony. Seth Anthony is not anybody you've heard of, but he's somebody I've heard of. Here at CSU, he started the CSU Libertarian Club Party, whatever it may be. And so the point is, he presents himself as a libertarian. He wrote this column a while back espousing the notion that people under 18 should be allowed to vote. Opponents of lowering the voting age argue, just as was argued for women and minorities, that youth aren't responsible enough to vote, And yet, in this country, people as young as 14 are permitted to drive automobiles, and people as young as 12 are tried as adults in court. Yes, but they're not allowed to drink. Pardon me. So, people under 18 are not competent enough to drink in their own homes under the supervision of their parents, because their parents get put in jail. Because those children could have driven home drunk. Oh, no, wait. They could have had a drunken orgy, taken pictures of themselves having the drunken orgy, and then put them on the internet. They could have emailed the pictures from the drunken orgy to each other, and somebody could have hacked into their email accounts, and they could have accessed those pictures, and they could have sold those pictures as child pornography. They excuse me. I could have paused the recording and coughed instead of coughing in the microphone and into your ear. But somebody could have taken that pause, accessed it from the internet, and sold it as child pornography. All right, anyhow, so a 17-year-old child cannot drink at home. A 17-year-old child cannot decide what kind of clothes to wear to public school. But yet we're supposed to let 17-year-old children make decisions that affect the political operations of this nation. And, Seth makes this elaborate argument in here that we can't deny children the right to vote under this auspice that they're not smart enough to know what to do, that they will be swayed. When, of course, the same arguments were used against women and black people. But, here's the thing. The children will be manipulated by slick advertising campaigns, because women are manipulated by slick advertising campaigns, and black people are manipulated by slick advertising campaigns. And guess what? Here's a motherfucking newsflash for you. White men are manipulated by slick advertising campaigns also. You see, if slick advertising campaigns, especially in political races, if slick advertising campaigns didn't manipulate people, politicians and corporations would not pour millions and millions of dollars into slick advertising campaigns. And this is one of the fallacies I constantly see from all these fuckheads who think that democracy is wonderful, and that democracy is a cure to everything. This notion that we'll solve all of our problems if we just let more people vote. And when I hear that, what I hear is, all of our problems will be solved if we just let more stupid people vote. Folks, allowing a greater number of stupid people to make a decision does not result in a smarter decision. And that's exactly what democracy is. Democracy is the notion. I'm serious. Popular democracy. I should clarify this. By this I mean popular, because I'm not going to get into exactly how I define democracy versus popular democracy right this moment. Popular democracy is this thing we have in America where it's this notion that if everybody votes, more people voting, that's popular democracy. Excuse me. The basic notion of popular democracy is that the larger number of stupid people you have making a decision, the smarter the final decision will be. That somehow or another, a large number of dumb people are somehow capable of making an intelligent decision. And I look at the political decisions that the American people have made, and I see no evidence to support this notion. and somehow or another allowing a bunch of stupid people under the age of 18 to also vote. I fail to understand how that's going to solve anything. It's not the first time I've heard this idea. The first time I heard this idea, it was from Democrats, which is understandable because most people are going to be more liberal when they're young. And so, of course, Democrats are obviously going to have this desire to get young people to vote because the young people are going... young people don't understand concepts like the government doesn't have money. You go to a 16-year-old kid and you say, well, we want to give everybody free health care. Well, that makes sense to them because they don't understand that there's no such thing as free health care. There's no such thing as free anything. We've covered this before also. You can't have free health care because you have to pay for the building where the health care takes place in. You have to pay for the electricity. You have to pay for the medical equipment. You have to pay for the people who manufacture the medical equipment. They have to pay for the raw materials to manufacture. There is no free. There is no such thing as free. But a 16-year-old child is not going to understand this concept. So, of course, they're prime targets. Look. Oh, God. All right, let me see. What do we want to get out of the way? Oh, good God. Whoop. All right. Let's do this. I don't know, this is pretty sick. Maybe I should have fun with this. Here in was this in Fort Collins? Larimer County, construction of a new $2.4 million center to alleviate homelessness. Kim Iwanski, project manager for the Murphy Center, said that a more revealing fact can be found in a survey of Poudre School District students. In 2006, 806 children claimed to have experienced homelessness. Now, this is Fort Collins. For those of you not from Fort Collins, let me explain something about Fort Collins. Fort Collins is a middle to upper class to rich enclave of white liberals. These are people who talk about diversity, and we have diversity in Fort Collins. There are like, I think maybe 17 black people in town. And, there is no poverty. I'm sorry. There is no fucking poverty in Fort Collins. I've lived in Fort Collins 7 years. Let me tell you that. There is no fucking poverty in this town. In 2006, 806 children claimed to have experienced homelessness. She said the number may be higher because many of the older students try to hide this. What do you mean experienced homelessness? Is that like you are walking down the street? I was going to the library and I saw some homeless people in the park. Because homeless people do actually hang out in the park near the library here. Which is another story because the police like to harass the homeless people for hanging out in the park. And anyhow, I could go somewhere with that, but it's like, but you can tell that, of course, the police don't have any real crime to deal with because they're harassing the homeless people who are hanging out in the park and not bothering anybody. Anyhow, so what does that mean? 806 children claim to have experienced homelessness. If they're trying to tell me that in Fort Collins there are 806 children who are homeless, I am telling you that's bullshit. Quote, most of us are one paycheck away from being homeless, unquote, said Bruce Hall, a CSU social work professor. Somebody who is a social work professor would say something like that. Hall said all it takes in some cases is the flu. Now this is hilarious. Listen to this. Quote, let's say you're a student bartender at Young's and you're hit with the flu. You miss 3 weeks of work. You won't be able to pay rent, Hall said. Quote, next thing you know, you're sleeping on a friend's couch and homeless. It's as simple as that, unquote. Now, first of all, what flu lasts for 3 weeks? I've had the flu. It hasn't kept me away from work. I can't talk. It has not kept me away from work for 3 weeks. What kind of pussy gets the flu and has to take 3 weeks off from work? Second of all, if you are sleeping on a friend's couch, you are not homeless unless your friend's couch is in the park down by the library. There is no fucking homelessness here. You're not homeless if you're sleeping in somebody's house. Second of all, if you can't pay your rent, it's not like, there's a long string of things that have to happen if you get evicted. You're probably not going to get evicted in 3 weeks. And then, of course, remember now, let's say you are a college student and you are doing this. Odds are mommy and daddy are paying for your college. You can always just call them up and say, Dad, this is Todd. Hello. I had the flu. Flu for 3 weeks. I couldn't go to my job as a bartender. I need rent money. And he'll say, oh, Todd, don't worry, I'll send that to you. All right, I'm digressing. Quote, who's Bruce, right? Who's Murphy? Oh, who cares? Quote, there's no one reason. Sorry, it's like I'm trying to separate people from other people in this article. I really just don't give a fuck. Quote, there's no one reason people are homeless. There are as many reasons as there are homeless people. There are as many reasons as there are people in the shelters. So it will be a one-stop shopping center for all the housing needs, and hopefully we can get to people before they're homeless. So they're building this homeless. What are they calling this? A place of refuge. Wait. The Sister Mary Alice Murphy Center for Hope will have. The Sister Mary Alice Murphy Center for Hope will house agencies and case managers to guide people out of homelessness and prevent people from becoming homeless. Oh, so Sister Mary Alice Murphy is a longtime advocate for Fort Collins Poor, blah, blah, blah. So she's going to help people before they can become homeless. Listen to this. More than 30 potential agencies may be housed or associated with the new center. While the center will have employees, volunteers will be extremely important. The community said needs to come together to confront the problem. It's critical that students get involved, and some of them are not that far from being homeless themselves. The scare tactics on homelessness never end. Now, I've said it before. So, let me get this back out of the trash can. More than 30 potential agencies may be housed or associated with the new center. Then, you have employees. You're going to have all of this is one giant money-making scam. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. If every person who claims to care about homelessness simply took a homeless person home with them, there would be no more homelessness. It could be ended just like that. But homelessness is continuously perpetuated, because it is a source of financial income for all the people who provide services for the homeless. These services, of course, being financed by our tax dollars, for those of us who actually pay taxes. Now, I remembered this. This was in the other pile over there. I was going to cover this when I was talking about dress codes. So I'm going to backtrack. Now, as you may have figured out, I'm not a fan of dress codes, but I have to admit that there are some things that are just wrong. Excuse me. Oh. All right. In February 2005, the Virginia House of Delegates passed a bill to make saggy pants a criminal offense. Under the proposed law, pants that reveal your undergarments would have been punishable by a $50 fine. Quote, it's not about individual rights, it's about values. explains the bill's sponsor, Delegate Algie Howell Jr., a Democrat. By the way, for those of you who are Democrats, for those of you who think Democrats represent freedom of choice and integrity and honor and getting us out of Iraq and all these other things, this was sponsored by a Democrat who said, quote, "It's not about individual rights, it's about values." Wow, doesn't that sound like a Republican soundbite if you've ever heard one? Quote, "The way you dress does have something to do with how you behave." Unquote. After the bill made national headlines and inspired national ridicule, the state Senate rejected it. But Howell may get the last laugh. The Christian Science Monitor reported in June that organizers in Atlanta, Detroit, Nashville, and Birmingham have all staged anti-sagging rallies, where high waistline activists handed out belts to saggy pants offenders. Here's a belt. Pull your pants up. The Associated Press reported in September that many cities are considering their own droopy drawers prohibitions. Atlanta is mulling a bill that would impose fines and community service. Several towns in Louisiana have passed bans. Go Louisiana, including December, where exposed underwear can result in a $500 fine or 6 months in jail. December Mayor Carol Broussard, while acknowledging that the law may be unconstitutional or unenforceable, said, quote, "We're going to try." All right, I have to admit, I'm in favor of this because I don't want to look at your fucking underwear. Pull your pants up. Now, I think exceptions should be made for females. You know, anytime females want to wear drooping pants that predominantly display their underwear, I think that is perfectly okay. I wholeheartedly support that, you know, and interfering in the ability of a woman to publicly expose her underwear. I mean, that's violating her freedom of speech. That's violating her right to an abortion. That's violating her right to vote. Whatever thing it is, it's violating everything. Women's underwear should always be allowed in public. Uh-oh. Randy's bringing up a point. What about fat women? Okay. Oh, shit. Now you've got me in a quandary. All right. We'll discuss. Anyhow, Trenton City Council member Annette Lartigue is drafting a bill that would require saggy pants violators to meet with a social worker for a personality audit. He told the AP, quote, "Are they employed? Do they have a high school diploma? It's a wonderful way to redirect at that point." Meet with a social worker. Maybe the social worker could also prevent them from becoming homeless at the same time. Do saggy pants lead to homelessness? Is there a correlation? Has anybody looked at this? Has anybody thought of this? You know, it's a possibility. We've got to keep an open mind. Isn't that what it's all about? Having an open mind? Let's have an open mind to this. And let's have an open... How much time do we have left? Yeah. Oh. Not enough time for that. Not enough time for that. Definitely not enough time for that. Not enough time for that. What? Not enough time for this. Wait, what's this? What's this? Oh, God. Christianity. I'm going to be sick. Not enough time for that. Not enough time for this either. Alright. Do it, Randy. Go ahead and play the music. And we will be back. There's a lot more. There is so much more. You wouldn't believe how much more there is. We will be back.